everybody, while I've got the single coil guitar out, I just thought that I would cover the AC30 and the AC30 mod amps really quickly. We'll get those out of the way. So again, widely popular amps. AC30s popularized by the Beatles, big brother to the AC15. It was developed because people just needed a little bit more stage volume, all that kind of cool history stuff. So for me, AC30 is all about edge of breakup. I think that's basically why most people buy them. They just have this really cool edge of breakup thing going on. But they're also really popular with country music. Brad Paisley, his first tube amp was an AC30, one of the older original ones, and so he's got a lot of different amps now with Dr. Z, and for the most part, I think like 3 or 4 out of his amps with Dr. Z's are basically some kind of modification on an AC30. So yeah, they've got great potential for country music as well. So we'll touch a little bit on all that stuff. Enjoy. All right, so just a quick rig rundown on this AC30 rig. So we've got the usual Headrush template that I use with all of my stuff. Just check out the video in the description below on an explanation for what that is. It's basically some post EQ and compression. And so we're using the AC High Boost model. So AC30 top boost channel in the real world. And we've just got a couple of basic effects here. A little bit of plate reverb, mixed real low, 10%, just for a little bit of room. And of course, as always, so traditionally you would use these guys with like Celestian blues or even golds. I like the gold a lot. I used to have a Dr. Z Z-Rack that came with a gold, and that amp was awesome. But we are using actually the free impulse responses you can find from Leon Todd over at his channel, and also in the rigs to download from the description below. But we're using his LT-TV Mix 2, which is greenbacks, which is for IRs that I can share with you for free. This is the closest I can get you. I think greenbacks are perfectly fine speakers for AC30s, but basically it sounds like this. That already sounds awesome, and that is at stock settings on this guy. So we're at 50 and 50 on the normal and brilliant volume. The tremolo is off. Treble is at 0, or treble is at 50, and bass is at 50, halfway up. And the cut control is an interesting one. I think it's reversely named. A lot of people think that the cut control would add cut to the sound, and what adds cut to the sound is mids. But to me, it actually kind of just adds more woof and bass. So most of the time, to me, this is best left at 0%. And without changing the rest of the EQ, I'm just going to show you what that sounds like. So here's with no cut. And the cut at 50. So adds a little bit of lower mids in my opinion. Not really something I find desirable in an AC30 tone. AC30s are known for their jangle and just this kind of in-your-face brightness. And overall, I prefer the AC30 clean and edge of breakup thing over, say, like the Fender Deluxes, which I just covered in the last video. Um, AC to me, they sound and feel better than like an American voiced equivalent. A lot of people like Deluxes better, and that's okay. But as far as settings goes on this, I like them nice and bright. So what I would do for that is actually I like setting the normal volume all the way off, right down, and then I'm gonna bring in some volume and some dirt, which is very dynamic dirt, which I'll show you why I say that in a minute. But so right about to 80% on that guy, and the treble I like about 70-ish, and the bass, I know I'm normally a bass cutter, but I like to add bass to this sound too. And again, that's gonna sound like this. Now, this is, to me, edge of breakup at its finest. I think the only model that compares on the Headrush for edge of breakup stuff is the, I think, incorrectly named MS30, which to me, I think is just the Matchless DC30. Very similar amp to the AC30. But so when you roll the volume knob back on this, watch what happens. It's great to just have different dynamics and sounds available for different parts of songs, like intros, verses, choruses, right at your volume knob on the guitar. And that's just what the AC30 is so good at. It likes compressors, so let's turn on a little bit of compressor here. And this gets us in that sort of Brad Paisley territory. I can't play nearly as good as Brad Paisley, but it's kind of like this. Right, so very cool sound. And then a little bit of slapback delay on that guy. I'm using the BBD delay for that, and that's basically these settings right here. It's the default block with a little bit of that going on. And then, so I think the Edge from from U2 is famous for using these two. Quite a few of these, I guess. So I got a little bit of the Edge style delay for you. I'm also no good at playing U2 stuff, so don't expect a whole lot. But basically, pretty cool stuff. I don't usually use those kinds of delays for anything, especially the kind of band I play in is more like 80s hair metal and stuff. It's more about just that little bit of like halo around the note kind of delay. So I don't have much use for that stuff, which is probably why I'm no good at it. But just some other interesting stuff I popped in here for you. So I have the orange phaser, which is at the default mono position. Technically, phasers should be behind the amp or in the effects loop, but I really like how this sounds in front of the amp, and that is this. Just a cool little idea for some texture for your stuff. Phasers fell out of fashion for about 20 to 30 years, but I think they're making a comeback along with flangers, which is awesome, and chorus as well, so I'm glad all that stuff is coming back. Now, as far as boosting an AC30, even in the real world, I haven't had much luck using tube screamers, which are my favorite kind of boost of all time, is the tube screamer circuit. To me, they don't play too well with AC30s. I think there's this kind of conflict of mids going on in them. But so I think it was Brian May from Queen kind of made it famous to use AC30s cranked pretty loud with treble boosters, and we don't have a treble booster on the Headrush yet. Hint, hint, Headrush. We could really use a treble booster. So I tried my best to kind of mimic like a clean, just treble boost kind of thing. I've got the level at 100 on the white boost, bass at about 20, and treble halfway up with the gain at 0. And that sounds like this. Here we go. So just a little bit of EQ sweeping for you, why I went with these settings. So if you turn the treble all the way up, you kind of get this. So a little bit too much. So in my attempt to mimic a treble booster, this is not the closest. Also, if you pull all the bass out, which is something you think you might do, you don't want to do that either. And of course, that all depends on what kind of guitar you're using, what kind of speakers you're using, if you're using FR or a power amp and a cab, and what kind of speaker is in that. Single coil guitars, humbucker guitars. So this little treble booster imitation pedal I gave you is just a starting point. But just know that in general, AC30s don't play well with tube screamers, in my experience. So yeah, huge range of usable tones for me. To me, this is pop music. It is country music. So many things. It's Queen, so many classic things. It's obviously the Beatles. But so there's another AC model in here, which might be confusing to some people, because it's just called the AC High Boost mod. And you would think, okay, so cool, AC30 with more gain, right? And then you pull it up and you hear this. I don't really know what they're trying to model with this model, but I can kind of get my head around what it's supposed to do. So the master volume on this thing is literally just that. It seems like it's just volume. Here it is at like 20. Right, so super clean. Here it is at 100. So this master volume is not a means of getting power amp distortion, but you can get plenty of gain out of the gain parameter. So you have a mid control on this amp as well, as opposed to the AC30 where you don't. Let's leave that halfway up, but we'll do treble and bass at 60 again, just like on the regular AC30. Right, we'll leave that, and we'll leave the presence right where it is. You got a presence control too, and no cut control. So just some of the ways they differ. So with the EQ, ever just so slightly different, we have this. Alright, so just a little bit of extra sauce on that treble and bass. And then here's what the gain knob does. We'll go right to 100 on that and just see what happens. So it got super loud and not that much more distorted. I would put it at kind of like Fender twin reverb all the way up, but like Tweed twin or Tweed deluxe kind of thing. Maybe a little bit less gain than that, but we'll just keep that at 50. I wouldn't have too much use for this model, I suppose. If I'm going to use the AC30, I'm going to use the first one that I just showed you. But you know, so a little bit of a, I guess, just kind of just another clean option on the Headrush. It does also have a bright switch, so let's turn that on. Adds just a little bit of brightness. Let's throw in just a little bit of gain though. Let's go to like 65. We'll keep it right there. Oh, I actually like that. Right, just a little bit of, just starting to show a little bit of teeth on that sound. What else did I want to try here? Oh, so in the Fender one I showed you, you can assign vibrato built into the amp to a foot switch. You can do the same thing here with the Tremolo on the AC30s. So that is hardware assigned, pick an empty block, pick amp, hit Tremolo, and now you have the Tremolo assigned to a foot switch, and that sounds like this at the stock settings. Now I like my vibrato kind of nice and medium speed, right, as texture to fit into songs. With Tremolo, I kind of like that really fast, choppy thing. I'm not a big fan of the band Green Day, but they have that one song that starts off with like a crap ton of tremolo, and I'm a big fan of that. So I think for that, a speed of more like 8 hertz will kind of get you there. And let's just hear that with an 85 on the depth. Turn the depth down just a little bit. As you turn the depth up, you lose attack from the guitar, so. Keep it right about there. That's especially awesome with a distorted tone. Let me go back really quickly, and I'm going on longer than I wanted to again, to the regular AC30, and just do kind of like a grittier tone thing here. I'm pretty sure this one had tremolo built in as well, and it does. So, all right, let's set that to like 8. Go about 65 on the depth, and that sounds like this. It would help if I turned it up. Alright. Actually, doesn't seem too effective with the built-in amp model, or with the tremolo built into the amp. Let's turn that off. I did something wrong here. Sorry, guys. Let's try that again. No? Alright, it's not working for some reason, and that's fine. We're gonna go with, just really quickly, a preset for the tremolo pedal that I made, and we'll get this point across. So we are, here we go, use this guy. So look at the rate, 8 Hertz, 100% on the shape, 70 on the depth, and let's see what happens here. There we go. And we'll turn the phaser on too. This is like a cool show intro kind of thing, right? Remember, I do almost everything from the perspective of live shows and playing live, and the things I would, how I would use things in a live full band setting. So to me, to walk out on stage to something cool like that is totally awesome. But so that just about covers the AC30s. I was gonna try and squeeze in the MS30 or the Matchless DC30 into this video too, but I think I've gone on too long already. So I will find another video to cover that in. Hope you got a bunch out of this, you guys, and again, please help me out. I would like to see the channel grow and just find a reason to keep doing this. So subscribe and like and all that good stuff. Share it with your friends. Share it on the guitar forums. Just if you know people that like the Headrush, hate the Headrush, are on the fence about maybe buying one, this unit just sounds really great. And that's coming from someone who's not at all affiliated, endorsed by, or sponsored by them. I just think this is a great product that a lot of average people can afford. So that's all I'm trying to accomplish. Thanks, guys.